I'm 80 now, and I've lived through a lot of changes, some good, some not so good. But through it all, I've come to realize something important. Getting older doesn't have to mean getting weaker or giving up on living a full life. It's easy to think that once you hit a certain age, things start to fall apart. But I'm here to tell you that doesn't have to be the case. I've had friends and family members who've lived to a ripe old age, enjoying their lives well past 90, and I've seen how simple changes in their habits and mindset made all the difference. You see, the way we age isn't all down to luck. It's largely about how we take care of ourselves, both physically and mentally. Now, I'm not talking about some miracle cure or quick fix. What I've learned is that small, steady changes over time, changes in how we live, what we eat, how we move, and how we think, can greatly impact how we age. And the best part is, it's never too late to start making those changes. Even if you're over 60, there's plenty of time to turn things around. When I think about the people I know who are still going strong, it's not just about the years they've lived, it's about how well they've lived those years. They didn't just coast through life waiting for things to go wrong. Instead, they made choices each day to protect their health and well-being, and most importantly, they kept a positive outlook. I've always believed that a positive attitude can do wonders, not just for your mind, but for your body too. Stress, for example, can be a silent killer. It wears you down over time, affecting your heart, your immune system, and your ability to heal. But it's also about paying attention to the details. I've had my fair share of health scares over the years, but I've learned that regular checkups and staying on top of your health, whether it's getting your blood pressure checked or keeping an eye on your diet, can keep things in check before they become serious problems. I've seen so many people ignore the signs, thinking they'll just go away. But when you're older, your body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. That's why it's so important to stay proactive about your health. So, today I want to share with you what I've learned over the years about aging well. It's not just about avoiding the inevitable. It's about making choices that help you live a long, healthy, and fulfilling life. If I can do it, I know you can too. Let's dive into the 4 key things that can help you stay healthy and live past 90. I remember my friend Jack like it was yesterday. We used to play cards together every Sunday afternoon, a small ritual that kept us both in good spirits. But one day, Jack didn't show up. We all assumed he was just busy, but when he missed the next week and the one after that, we started getting worried. It wasn't like him at all. When I finally went over to his place to check on him, I found out that Jack had been dealing with heart problems. He hadn't told anyone. He'd been feeling unusually tired and short of breath, but he'd chalked it up to just getting older. But the truth was, his heart wasn't in good shape. His blood pressure was high, his cholesterol levels were off the charts, and before long, he ended up in and out of the hospital. Sadly, Jack's health continued to decline, and I lost him a few years later. Looking back, I think about how avoidable it all was. If Jack had paid attention to the early warning signs, like feeling out of breath after simple activities or not taking his blood pressure seriously, maybe things would have turned out differently. Heart disease is one of those silent killers. It often doesn't show any symptoms until it's too late. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter how old you are. Your heart can still work well for you if you treat it right. I'm 80 now, and I'm proud to say that my heart is still going strong. I don't take it for granted, though. I make sure to keep an eye on my blood pressure and cholesterol. It's a simple thing to check, and believe me, it's worth it. When I hit my 60s, I started making small but important changes, cutting back on salt, eating more fruits and vegetables, and staying active. I made it a point to take daily walks. Nothing extreme, just enough to keep my blood pumping. The key is consistency. You don't have to run marathons or become a gym rat, but you do need to get your body moving. When you've lived as long as I have, you see the patterns. I've watched countless friends struggle with heart disease, and I can tell you, it doesn't have to be your fate. Keeping your heart healthy is one of the most important things you can do if you want to live to a ripe old age. I'm not saying you'll never have challenges. There are always things out of our control, but with heart disease, much of it is in your hands. Look after your heart, stay active, eat well, and you might just have a few more decades of card games, long walks, and good health ahead of you. Diabetes is one of those illnesses that creeps up on you when you least expect it. I remember my cousin Margie well. She was always the life of the party, lively, full of energy, and never one to shy away from a slice of cake or a bowl of ice cream. She had a sweet tooth, and I mean a serious sweet tooth. We all did back then. Who could resist those homemade pies or the occasional candy bar? But as we got older, we noticed that Margie wasn't looking quite as vibrant. She started feeling sluggish, complained of being thirsty all the time, and felt like her energy was just draining away. At first, we thought it was just the natural aging process, but after a trip to the doctor, the news wasn't good. Margie had developed type 2 diabetes. It wasn't a huge shock, really. We all knew that her diet wasn't doing her any favors, but none of us really understood how serious it could get until Margie's diagnosis. Over time, her condition worsened. The constant blood sugar highs and lows affected everything: her mood, her ability to focus, and eventually, her overall health. Diabetes, if left unmanaged, can lead to a host of other complications, from heart problems to nerve damage, and Margie had to face all of it. It was hard to watch, knowing that she could have avoided much of it with a few lifestyle changes earlier on. That's why I'm so passionate about sharing this with you. You don't want to wait until it's too late to start taking care of your body. Diabetes is largely preventable, and even if you've been diagnosed, it's possible to manage it with the right approach. The first step is awareness, knowing that what you eat and how you live can make a world of difference. I learned this the hard way, but it's never too late to make changes. For me, the first thing I did when I realized I needed to be more careful was cut down on sugar. I didn't just go cold turkey on sweets. There's no need to punish yourself. But I became mindful of how much sugar I was consuming on a regular basis. I swapped out sugary snacks for healthier alternatives, like fresh fruits and nuts. Instead of reaching for a bag of chips in the evening, I'd have a small bowl of popcorn or a handful of almonds. The biggest shift for me was also focusing on portion control and eating smaller, more balanced meals throughout the day. Exercise played a major role too. I started walking more, something simple yet incredibly effective. I didn't push myself too hard, but I made sure I stayed active. Regular physical activity helps regulate blood sugar levels, and it's one of the best things you can do for your overall health. Taking care of my diet and staying active helped me keep my blood sugar in check, and I feel better than I did 20 years ago. If Margie had taken these steps, things could have been different for her. Don't wait until it's too late to make these small changes in your life. They might just save you from facing the complications that come with diabetes later on. Arthritis is something I've personally had to face, and let me tell you, it can really take a toll on your life if you're not careful. It wasn't until my late 60s that I first felt the stiffness in my shoulders and knees. I woke up one morning with a pain in my left knee that I couldn't quite shake off. At first, I thought it was just a cramp, or maybe I slept wrong, but it didn't go away. A few days later, my shoulder started aching too. Little by little, the pain spread to my joints, and before long, I was having trouble getting out of bed without feeling sore. It was arthritis, plain and simple. I'll be honest with you, when I first heard the word, I wasn't too thrilled. I'd heard all sorts of things about how arthritis could completely change your life, limiting your movement and making everything from walking to picking up groceries a challenge. And to be honest, it can be that way if you let it. But I was determined not to let arthritis control my life. I wasn't about to let it steal my independence or stop me from doing the things I loved. So, I started looking for ways to manage it. I went to the doctor, who gave me some useful advice, but most of the real work came from what I did myself. The first step was simple. I started moving more. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? You're in pain, so you don't want to move. But that's exactly what your body needs when you're dealing with arthritis. Gentle movement to keep the joints from stiffening up completely. I started by stretching every morning, right in bed, before I even got up. At first, it was just small stretches, nothing major. A few minutes of light movement to get my blood flowing. Slowly but surely, I began to feel less stiff, and the pain wasn't as sharp. I also started taking daily walks. I didn't aim to set any records. I just wanted to keep my joints moving. A slow, easy walk around the block was enough. Over time, that walking routine helped me regain strength in my knees and hips, and the inflammation started to go down. It's like your joints remember what it feels like to move, and when you give them the chance, they get a little better each day. And here's something I didn't expect: the mental boost that came with taking care of my body. The pain didn't go away completely, but the more active I became, the more I felt like I could take on the world. Staying active helped me mentally and emotionally as much as physically. I also made sure to eat anti-inflammatory foods, things like leafy greens, fish, nuts, and olive oil, all of which helped reduce swelling and keep my joints lubricated. If you're starting to feel that stiffness or joint pain, don't just write it off as part of getting old. Yes, arthritis is common as we age, but that doesn't mean you have to live with it in silence. Movement is key. Stretch, walk, swim, or do whatever you can to keep those joints active. I may not be pain-free every day, but I'm able to do the things I love, and that's what matters. Take control of your body, and arthritis won't have the final say. Dementia is a frightening thought, isn't it? I've seen it take hold of a few close friends and relatives, and it's not something I wish on anyone. The memory loss, the confusion, the way it can rob someone of their sense of self, it's heartbreaking. I'll never forget the first time I noticed that my old friend Charlie wasn't the same. We had been friends for decades, always talking about everything from politics to old times. But slowly, Charlie started forgetting little things, appointments, names, even conversations we'd just had. At first, I thought it was just a momentary lapse, but over time, it became clear that something more serious was going on. His family took him to the doctor, and the diagnosis was Alzheimer's disease, a form of dementia. Watching Charlie go through that was tough. He was a sharp, witty man, and seeing him lose that edge was hard for all of us. His mind slipped away little by little, and the man I knew became more and more distant. It made me realize how fragile the mind is and how easily it can be affected as we age. But the truth is, dementia isn't an inevitable part of aging. Yes, it's more common in older adults, but it's not guaranteed, and there's so much we can do to protect our minds. I decided early on that I wasn't going to let my mind slip away the way I saw it happening to others. The first step I took was to keep learning. I didn't want to fall into the trap of sitting back and letting my brain go idle. I made it a point to read regularly, engage in puzzles, and even take up new hobbies. It's like the body. You have to use it to keep it strong. The brain works the same way. If you don't challenge it, it starts to slow down, just like a muscle that's never exercised. One thing that really helped me was staying social. I've always been the type to enjoy a good conversation, and I realized how important that was for keeping my brain sharp. It wasn't just about learning new things, but about having those social interactions. You see, when you engage with people, when you share experiences, laugh, and debate, you're constantly keeping your brain active. It's a kind of mental exercise that you don't even realize you're doing. Another key to maintaining mental clarity is staying physically active. Exercise doesn't just help your body, it helps your brain too. Studies show that physical activity improves blood flow to the brain, which helps with memory and cognitive function. So, whether it's a daily walk, a bit of yoga, or just stretching, keeping active is crucial for your mind as much as your body. And finally, I've learned that keeping a positive attitude goes a long way. Stress is one of the biggest contributors to mental decline, so I've always tried to stay positive and keep a sense of humor. It's amazing how much better you feel when you laugh and enjoy life, even in your later years. The key to avoiding dementia is to never stop learning, never stop connecting with others, and never stop moving. It's not about living in fear of losing your mind. It's about doing everything you can to keep it sharp and vibrant for as long as possible. If I can do it, I'm sure you can too. Stay curious, stay engaged, and take care of that beautiful mind of yours. So, when I look back over the years, I can't help but feel grateful for the life I've lived. Sure, there have been some bumps along the way, health scares, family losses, and the usual challenges that come with getting older. But when I think about all the things I've learned, the friends I've made, and the wisdom I've gained, I can't help but feel proud of how far I've come. I'm still here, still kicking, and still enjoying life in my 80s. And I have to tell you, I believe that a big part of that is because I've worked hard to avoid or manage the 4 major health issues I've shared with you: heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, and dementia. Now, I know this might sound like a lot of effort, but let me assure you, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. These aren't drastic, life-altering changes, just small steps that, when taken consistently, can add up to something big. And if you can avoid these 4 illnesses, or at least manage them properly, you've already given yourself a head start in living a long, fulfilling life. Think of it as investing in your future self, one small decision at a time. If you've learned anything from my stories about Jack, Margie, Charlie, and even myself, it's that health doesn't come by chance. It comes through choice. Every day we make decisions that affect our well-being, whether it's choosing a healthy snack instead of a sugary treat, going for a walk instead of sitting all day, or staying positive when life throws challenges your way. those choices add up. They might seem small at the time, but over the years, they create a foundation for good health. Take it from me. I'm proof that you don't have to accept aging as a downhill slope. Aging doesn't have to mean losing your vitality or your ability to enjoy life. If you keep your heart strong, your blood sugar in check, your joints moving, and your mind sharp, you'll find that getting older doesn't have to slow you down. In fact, I believe that embracing this mindset, that health is a daily commitment, not a once-in-a-while thing, can help you not just live longer, but live better. It's about doing the things that will help you thrive, not just survive. And believe me, it's never too late to start. Whether you're in your 60s or 80s, there's always room to improve, to grow, and to feel better than you did yesterday. So, I encourage you to take these lessons to heart. It's not just about avoiding illness, it's about living with purpose, enjoying each day, and making the most of every moment. If I can keep moving and growing at 80, I know you can do it at any age. You've got this, my friend, and I can't wait to see all the wonderful things you'll do in the years to come. Here's to your health, your happiness, and a long life ahead. As we wrap up, I want to remind you that these small habits truly add up over time, and if you take them to heart, you can live a vibrant, fulfilling life well into your 90s and beyond. So, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of Elderly Hacks. We'll be sharing more tips, stories, and advice to help you age gracefully and live your best life. Stay tuned, stay healthy, and keep thriving. You've got this. See you in the next video.